Hi everyone. Hello. I'm Coral Movasseli. I'm Coral Movasseli. I am a rebel, a misfit. I'm very incongruent. I've had a very non-linear trajectory in many ways. I myself am Canadian. I'm from Toronto. I live across Dublin and London. And so if I sound very American, it's because it's not, it's actually Canadian. I started off my career actually in the public sector, which is very much relevant right now, given the times we live in. I worked for the Foreign Office, working on international trade policy. I graduated from the London School of Economics with a Master's of Science, graduated with undergrad cum laude from the University of Ottawa. And then I seemingly found my way in London working as an advisor to private equity funds and such. I boomeranged my way back into tech several years ago, back in Toronto, when a friend and I decided to we saw a problem in the market and we launched a digital startup to help transport users. Since then, I've been very much of an advocate and very passionate about making an impact in the world, as I always have been, and seemingly more so the gender and equality sections in our society. And this is what I want to talk about. So what the tech, right? We've seen a lot of stories in tech, and a lot of what I do is speak about tech in many respects, in terms of the emerging digital tech scene, sustainability. But one area and topic of focus that actually connects everything together in the ecosystem is the Me Too movement within the tech scene. From how Google protected Andy Rubin. He was the creator of the Android mobile software. They gave him $90 million not too long ago to depart after they found conclusively that he had sexually assaulted an employee at Google. And then later on, they went on to spend millions of dollars in the venture he created post-Google, to Facebook being criticized of inaction over women complaining about abuse on their platform, sexual harassment being underreported in the workplace. A study found that 4 out of 5 women who get actually sexually harassed in the workplace actually don't report it. They don't find it to be safe. To sexism being rife in Silicon Valley. Not much has changed in the past several decades, and how it's rampant in tech overall, not just in the Valley. To women's stories from around the world of how there's systemic sexual harassment in technology. And what really puzzled me when I started thinking about all of this is that, well, these stories in tech were born out of the Me Too movement, and the journey that the women in tech faced were not very dissimilar to what any other Me Too women face as well. It's a similar trajectory, and to understand it better, we need to delve better and deeper into the Me Too movement. The Me Too movement cast a big light on the harassment that women face in the workplace and allowed us to enter this discourse in a public forum. I've been intrigued by the use of our language. My sense of curiosity begins with a crucial warrior in this contagion. She's Gretchen Carlson. She was a Fox News broadcaster. She was the first to accuse the powerful Roger Ailes of sexual harassment. He was the former head of Fox News. He's since been, he's now dead. Once she spoke out, other women followed and said the infamous 2 words, Me Too. And this is what initially sparked the Me Too movement into the big corporate sphere. The fight to have her voice heard was, as you can imagine, excruciatingly painful for her. She faced severe backlash when the revelations became public. She was persona non grata. amongst her former colleagues and people around her, she was not believed. But something about this recently baffled me, and I want you to see it too, so watch it with me. I'm going to play this short 30-second clip.
Now we've seen the fall of Harvey Weinstein, Bill O'Reilly, Roger Ailes, Roy Price, Terry Richardson, James Toback, the director. Of course, our president has many accusations against him. Do you believe the women who have accused the president of this kind of abuse?
So in fact, I feature one of the women who accused President Trump in my book, Be Fierce, because I thought it was so important to give those women voice. You know,
so you do believe them?
I do believe that Natasha Stoyanov, who I feature in the book, who's the People magazine reporter, you know, she tells her story in the book. Look.
If you're thinking, so why was it that when she was asked if she believed other women, she stopped short of saying, I believe it? If you're thinking she's bound by a legal NDA, she only signed a waiver for her settlement with Roger Ailes, not even Fox News. Or you're thinking she could be sued for saying that generally under the law. Well, that's not the case at all. We've actually come a long way with the Me Too movement. It's an attempt to increasingly demarcate a public space for women to speak out against harassment. It certainly hasn't erased the legacy of patriarchy that positions women as actors of suspicion. No, not at all. But Gretchen puzzled me. If a woman who went through hell and back for the same struggle can't say she believes these women, what does this tell us? I did not find this to be a character flaw on her part at all, not in any shape or form, but instead indicative of our wider societal constraints within the Me Too movement.
Now we've seen...
which brings me to my talk. I want to understand this further. Why are we hesitant to say, I believe her? In all of these instances, my hypothesis is that we have conflated belief and truth in this movement. To believe the Me Too women, we have redefined the parameters and asked for absolute certainty. And it's important for us to understand this, given the headlines that I showed you earlier. To do this, I sought guidance from the sources I know best in the discipline of metaphysics. Can we know anything at all? So let me ask you this old age Berkeley question. If a tree falls down in the forest and you weren't there, did it make a sound? I can't see you to see the poll and whether you're nodding or not, but keep that in mind. Beyond the quantum physicists and philosophical quandaries here, this poses a question that is similar to the Me Too movement. If someone is harassed and you weren't there, can you believe them? To know what we need to discern, to know that we need to discern what is truth and what is belief. We have truth, which is a fact. We have the negation of truth, which is falsehood, non-facts, and we have beliefs. This is where we take a leap of faith beyond having the facts in front of us, such as a religious belief. We don't know if God exists, but we can believe that it does. It's within the realm of possibility. We don't need to complicate belief to a standard of truthhood, which is much more strict. Now, let me ask you this. When we conflate truth and beliefs, we come to a junction where we self-impose the standards of truth. Does this book title, A Million Little Pieces, jog anyone's memory? Again, I can't see you, so keep that in mind. This is James Frey. His book reached stardom when Oprah Winfrey added it to her book club. It was a memoir about his life. Oprah's rave reviews elevated him. Then it came out that a good chunk of his book was dubious. Oprah's words to him when she dragged him back to her show when she felt duped and betrayed were quite scornful. When we believed James Frey's book, we assumed it was all to be true. We believed him, but we didn't really know if it was all true. Millions of people felt betrayed by Oprah too. She is someone we put on a pedestal of all-knowing and truthhood. They scolded her for not knowing, but how could she have known? Oprah is not a truth seeker. The onus of truth to know what happened in this man's life does not rest with her. And just like that, the onus of truth to know whether the women accusing Harvey Weinstein rests with the truth seekers, the courts, the jury, the prosecutors, the journalists. The onus of belief rests with the rest of us. This is Rose McGowan. She's the actress who played in Charmed. It's a 90s TV show. She was one of the first to accuse Harvey Weinstein of raping her 2.5 years ago. They didn't believe her. She kept saying it. He kept saying it never happened. The tree didn't fall in the forest. He was establishing truth where belief should have entered. In the end, Amazon Studios ignored her claims about him. We need to be vigilant. We will discourage an open environment for people to come out. If you will be interrogated by your peers in the system, the social system, this does not encourage nor empower people to come forward. We need space to take a leap of faith and believe people. This needs to be allowed. And I get what you may be thinking. Where does this end? I'm not going to just believe some guy telling me he sees unicorns, for example. So how can we do this? We can ask ourselves, is what they are telling me within the realm of possibility? If yes, we can allow ourselves to take that leap and believe them. That doesn't mean we have found the truth. It simply means that we have lifted the onus of truth and validation away from the person sharing their story. And why can we do this? Because we can imagine that a tree would fall in the forest, so why not these women? We live in a society where we have institutions and people dedicated to the science and art of validating the truth. We're not the judge when we're not the jury here. We're the spectators. We need to understand that we don't all need to be the Me Too women here or know them intimately to say, I believe her. To demonstrate this, we can simply be #I'm with her. And with that, I say, thank you very much for listening.